Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am going to be working on this MTD Pro powered by Honda. So this mower I got, brand new air filter, that's nice. I got probably over a year ago, I'd say, and actually more than that, probably a year and a half at least. It was part of a deal. I got 3 mowers for like $50 or something like that. And this was part of it. I already made triple my money back on all the other mowers, and this one has been sitting behind the shed, so I figure let's take a look at it and see if we can get it running. Smells like solvent in there. Not good. Definitely gonna take the carb off. Let me get set up here. Overhead cam motor. Let's take a look at the spark plug and see how it was running when it met its demise. It is really new. I actually don't think this thing ran much at all before it was put out to pasture. I'm tempted to see if this thing has spark right off the bat. Let me get set up for that. I gotta tie the bale back. Yep, we got spark. Smells like really bad gas, but got spark. We have some rust down here. Generally, doesn't look too bad. Checking to see if this crank might be bent. I don't think so. The blade didn't look like it had any big hits on it, and it didn't look like it was bent. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a squirt in there and see if it goes. Hey, that's pretty good. This thing might actually run. Don't do what I just did. I started this thing with the electric cord kind of almost underneath the mower. Wouldn't do that if I was you. Safety third, remember that. Yeah, it's got oil. Should have checked that before. I think I see the problem why this thing was put out to pasture. Look at that gasket. Obviously this thing had intake leak. That is not me. That has been like that for a while. That's hard in place there. It's not squishy. So this thing was definitely leaking right there around where the carburetor attached to the intake. So of course it wouldn't run. Alright, let's get this carburetor off and clean it up. Unfortunately, I do not have a Honda gasket set, and I do not have a spare one of these carburetors anywhere. So I don't know if I can straighten that gasket out and get it to seal properly. Most likely not. It seems like it's been like that for a while. Okay. This fuel hose is coming apart. That's okay. You know what? I'm just gonna cut it and deal with it. Yeah. It's splitting right there, so I will cut this off right here. Like that. Let me tell you what, that gas smells bad. Smells real bad. Alright, there we are. And there's a better look at this, yeah. Oop. Look at that. I don't think I can straighten that out. But I think that's probably what happened. Yeah, it's gonna rip right there. I don't think that's, yep. No, well, no, I don't think it's going to come back to the point where it's going to seal properly. Alright, so I got to order a gasket. So here's another problem with this mower. the pull rope really only comes, well, you can't see it, but it doesn't really come very far, so the hook for the handle is supposed to go here, and it only extends about maybe 24 inches past that, so can't really pull it. So I think this rope needs replacing. Well, okay. Gas tank needed to really come off anyway. I gotta clean it out, so that's fine. Just want to get all the excess gas out of it so I can tip it upside down and work on getting the recoil off the gas tank. Wow. I should put that in a container for you to see. That gas was really nasty. Super yellow. Good vintage. Probably like a... Ooh. Smells like a 2015, maybe a 2014. Ugh. Let that soak on there for a couple minutes, and then I'll be back with some wrenches. These studs have a 10 millimeter hex fitting on the bottom there, and the 10 millimeter nut on the top. So I'm going to grab each side with a wrench and try and bust these off. I'm actually going to switch to using a line nut or line wrench or a flare nut wrench to do this because it does not feel good, and a ratchet as well. Okay, these do not want to come off. They are stripping anyway with the line wrench. If they're on there that hard, and this thing is plastic and you can't put it in a vise, you can't put heat on it, we are going to switch to plan B and just replace the pull string in place without taking it off the gas tank. I have pulled the pull start out as far as it will go. I'm going to stick a punch, whoops, down in here, lock it in place, and as soon as I get my hand untangled here, pull this, and we will cut this. And pull that out. And at this point, I'm going to measure how long this is and give it another probably 24 inches. So I just got done servicing another lawnmower, the pull start on it, where the spring broke. Briggs & Stratton, I think you saw that. You guys probably saw that video. If not, I'll put a link to it up there. Anyway, I had a spare recoil assembly, and a rope came out of it, and it is just about 24 inches longer than this rope. So I think I'm just going to use that. Before I stick that new rope in, I'm going to give this one extra turn. This really isn't much different than any other pull string replacement, spring replacement. In fact, you can, ouch, burn my glove. There we go. Now, the trick is, this is a lot harder because this is one piece with the gas tank now. Actually, you know, might be easier to get it through the other way. Alright, I got that. That's actually a lot easier than Briggs & Stratton pull starts. Anyway, sometimes you have to, where you singe the end, sometimes it kind of blows up and gets fatter and you have to crush it down with like a pliers, so that's what I just did. Before I put the actual handle back on, I'm going to just make sure that this thing retracts as much as I want and I have as much spring tension on there as I like. I don't know, there's... I don't know, I think I want a little bit more. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to give this another wind or two, and then I'll be back. Also, this thing has been sitting outside, so I am going to give it some oil in there where the spring is. So, I don't know if you can see that right there is where the tab is coming out for the spring. And I'm going to squirt a bunch of oil down in there. Hopefully it'll get all down in the spring and it'll lubricate everything. Alright, I guess it's time to get into the carburetor and get that all cleaned up. If you want to see how I clean this carburetor, very detailed clean, I will post the link in the upper right hand corner so that you can see the full process of cleaning this carburetor. I'm not going to put that in this video, that's its own video. So if you want to see that, click on that link in the upper right hand corner. And at this point, I think we should just go ahead and start reassembling. So if you remember, the gasket was the problem, and I have a gasket set. So I have a number of new gaskets here, and I believe this one is that particular gasket that was bad. And let's figure out which gaskets we have and how they all go back together. So to put the carburetor back on, there are these long bolts that, you know, basically go through the carburetor, all the gaskets, everything. And that stack of gaskets and plates and the carburetor and the intake, the air filter plate, all of that is like 6 or 7 pieces, something like that. And I do not have one. I do not have. A lot of people have these rods that they stick or the thread into the engine block and like stack them all on and then pull them out and replace them with the bolt. I do not have that, and I figure it's about time that I make some of those. So what I'm gonna do, squash that down. So this is 6mm rod, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread it. It's 6mm by 1. So M6 by 1 is the size of the threads. So just filing that to get it easier. I have my die in my tool. So I'm just going to get this started. Actually, you know what? I probably ought to get some tapping grease. I threaded it. The rod is actually a little bit too big. It's 6mm. You really need a touch under 6mm, so you can see the threads are kind of screwed up a little bit, but that's okay. This is just for installation. I'll try and fix it on the next one. I'll show you how. Yes, I know, the proper tool is a metal lathe. I do not have that. The next proper tool is a bench grinder. Don't have that either, though I would like to get a bench grinder. I just haven't found one I like. How about that? That looks much better. And that will work just fine for a alignment tool. I have half a mind to go back and cut the tip off the other one and do it again. Maybe I will. No, I did the other one. I cut it off and I redid it. Those threads are much nicer. And this one's actually got a little bit more of a taper at the tip, which allows it to go in and come out easier. It turns in and turns out easier, which is even better for an alignment tool. So these turned out well. Let's go install the carburetor. So I'm going to use the aligner guide tools that I just made in the earlier clip. Thread those into the engine, and let's start stacking the gaskets and the parts. Let me show you how the choke works on these. So this is the choke on the carburetor. As you can see, it's controlled by this lever, which is spring actuated. It springs back. And this arm is controlled by this lever. So you pull this back and that closes the choke. And over time, or as the engine heats up, this retracts, or you can push it back, and it will release the choke. And so basically we're all stacked up, we're ready to go. I think before I connect the fuel line, I may run some fuel through all of these tubes just to make sure everything is all flushed out. No dirt in there that will get into the carb bowl. That would have ended up in the carburetor. The fuel line is on. It's pretty brittle and stiff. I may end up replacing that fuel line in the future before I get rid of this mower, most certainly. But for now, it will work fine as a test to, just see that it runs. All right, let's see if it starts. No spark. Maybe that'll help. Not bad. The fuel line is leaking. That's not the carb. That's actually the line. I knew it was cracked. You see the bowl right there is dry. It's coming from the line. Oh well. It's actually pretty clean under here. So all I'm gonna do is a basic blade sharpen. And yes, I did undo the spark plug. Sharpened and balanced. Balanced good enough for me. Alright, it's been a few days and actually about 2 weeks and a few mows, and it's running pretty good. There are a couple problems. The fuel line is one of them. It just keeps cracking and falling apart, so replacing the fuel line now. And the carburetor, though it's running okay, it seems to be running just a bit lean. I cleaned it again and still the same, so I drilled the jet one size. So I used a little pin vise and a miniature micro drill bit and drilled it out one side, and we'll see how that works. So let me get this fuel line installed. New fuel lines installed. Now let's just put it back together and try it out. Unlike on Briggs motors and Tecumseh motors, there's no tab to bend. I had to mess with the governor spring here. I had to make it a little bit shorter, so I ended up bending a new hook in it, and that ended up this position. I actually stretched it out too much, and then I rebent the hook, was messing with it, and finally got it to about where I like it. So 3,200 RPM, 3,000, close enough. That's a little better. That's a good speed. That's enough. Another issue with this mower is that when you back it up and the brush guard or grass guard or whatever it is gets dragged underneath the mower, it hits the blade. I do not believe this is the right guard for it. So we can either let the problem continue taking care of itself, or we can help it along. I vote we help it along a little bit. Problem solved. So something else I noticed about this mower after using it for a while is that the choke lever does not retract. So really, when you pull the bail back, this thing is supposed to auto retract, and it doesn't. It's pretty sticky. I have cleaned it up. I cleaned it up with carb cleaner, and then I lubricated it with WD-40 and then a light machine oil. I don't know what the best thing to lubricate it with is, but we'll start with that. I don't know if you can see it down in there. When you pull this back, there's a little tab that engages there and holds this back, and this is connected to the bail, the handlebar bail, and when you pull that back, it pulls this up, and then that allows the choke to retract like that as the engine starts and it begins to run. So it appears to be working now, and then this thing loosens up. So I think we're good on that front. So pull it back, choke will release right about there. I think we're good. I think this will work. So let me put it back together and see. Alright, let's give it a shot. Perfect. Alright guys, I think this video is getting pretty long, and this thing had a lot of problems, but we took care of them, and I'm going to use it once or twice more before getting rid of it. I'll change the oil, and that'll be it. So thanks for watching. If you like these videos, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you on the next one.